Hello everybody, my name is Osfos. Today I wanted to explain you briefly what is EVE Online. EVE Online is a sandbox space game where you can pretty much do whatever you want. I would say it's a bit like a Grand Theft Auto in space. In short, you start off as a complete scrub and you work your way up to learning to fly better and better spaceships and also earn more money to buy better and better spaceships. But there are still a million more things you can do than just fly spaceships. You can also build spaceships, you can mine, you can explore places to search for riches, hunt really dangerous criminals. And also, it's a PvP game. And everyone is playing on the same server. And PvP is allowed in principle everywhere. How it works is, you have, this is the map. We live in a galaxy that's many light years away from our galaxy, and these in general, these systems in the center, they are considered high security space. And high security space is a space where you can kill people, but then the Concord police, as they are called, will kill you almost straight away. There's absolutely no way you can not die from them. They will almost insta-kill you. Then if you go to the edges of the high security space, there's low sec, and that's these orange systems that I'm in right now actually. This is where anyone can kill you. Police will not interfere. However, you will be marked as a criminal, and if you kill too many people, then you will eventually not be able to go back into high sec without being attacked by police. After low sec, there is null sec, these red systems, which are on the very edge. These are systems where you can kill anyone you want. There are absolutely no consequences. You do not get you do not count it as a criminal, and it's basically like a free-for-all. There's also a special thing about nullsec in that these systems can be owned by players, so players can own these areas, and usually it's a lot more profitable in terms of what you can do in the nullsec. So there are a lot of ships. You start off in this crappy corvette, work your way up to frigates, destroyers, cruisers. These ships can get quite big as well. The Emperor is only 56 meters long. The Omen cruiser is 290 meters long. And then if you go all the way up here to a battleship, this can be 1.2 kilometers long, but we don't end there. This is the best ship in the game, a Titan, and it is 14 kilometers long. How you progress in EVE Online is that you have something called skills, and skills are trained passively. They're trained even when you're offline as well as when you're online. You just take a skill, put it here, and it starts training, and it takes a bit of time to train. If you were to train all the skills in the entire game, it would take about 20 years. But the thing is, there are just a million skills you can use, and usually a player will not be wanting to use all of them, and also you don't have to perfectly train all skills. What skills do is they allow you to use certain equipment or weapons, and they also just improve your weapons. I'm training cruise missile specialization too, and this makes it so that my cruise missile launchers increase their rate of fire by 2% for each level. So that's just an example of a skill. Another skill could be Armor Frigate 5, and training Armor Frigate to 5 could let you fly these ships. Training it only to 2 could let you fly these ships, 3 these ships. The different ways to play this game. Often people join big corporations where there are hundreds of people together. There are benefits and cons to being in a large corporation. In a large corporation, you will not be able to decide the rules of what you can do. You have to do certain things for them. While if you're solo, you can do whatever you want without answering to anyone. There's benefits to being in a big group where you have lots of friends to help you out if you get attacked by people. It may seem daunting that there's so many skills to train, but you can always do stuff at every level. It just takes a long time to become extremely good at something. But you don't need to be extremely good at something to do stuff in this game. For me to fly this ship here, this is a Rook, and I only need to have my recon ships to 1. I don't need to have them to 5 to be able to fly it. If I have my recon ships to 5, I will become better flying this ship, because for each level of recon ships, I have better stats for my ship. But it still doesn't mean you can't do important things with this. Each ship you have can be customized in terms of what its equipment. It's like kind of like as if it's a gear equipped, and they all do different things. You know, well, I got this medium shield boost. This boosts my shields. This is a micro warp drive, which makes me go really fast. These are shield boost amplifiers, which make my shield booster stronger. Ballistic control systems, which increase the damage of my missiles. All these kind of modules are modules that can be used to enhance your ship's capabilities. There are two things that limit how much stuff you can use on your ship: CPU and power grid. This makes so that you can't put just unlimited stuff on your ship. That's why I'm using a compact one, because this uses less power grid. If I use a non-compact one, I wouldn't be able to place it on my ship. There are also rigs which also give buffs to your ship. For example, this ancillary current router here increases my power grid. This right here is your capacitor, and your capacitor basically is your kind of like your electricity of your ship. Your shield booster, for example, uses a lot of capacitor. If I had to turn it off, then I'll have a lot more capacitor. It's basically just a kind of electricity so that you can't just use unlimited stuff all the time. In EVE Online, there are two types of characters you can have. You can either be an alpha clone or you can be an omega clone. It costs money every month to be an omega clone, or you can grind money in-game and use this money to pay for an omega clone subscription. If your subscription runs out, you're automatically turned into an alpha clone, and if you pay as an alpha clone, you'll become an omega clone, etc. What an omega clone is that it allows you to use all the skills in EVE Online. Alpha clones are only restricted to certain skills. For example, I'm an omega clone, and I can have a Mark Cruiser 5. An alpha clone could only use a Mark Cruiser 4. Even if they are an omega clone and they start becoming an alpha clone, it doesn't mean that these skills are untrained. It just means they won't be able to use them. For example, if I become an alpha clone, I will not be able to fly these ships. It will just effectively be a Mark Cruiser 4. However, I have still got the skills trained, just I won't be able to benefit off a Mark Cruiser 5. How it works is, if you want to be Omega for quote-unquote free, you have to grind enough of the in-game currency ISK to buy Plex. You need 500 Plex for a month's worth of Omega clone, and that will be, as you can see here, quite a lot of money, 1.3 billion. But that is achievable if you earn a lot of money. However, it can be very tedious, so I would definitely not recommend this for new players, because you'll get burnt out straight away. An important thing to note is that everything that is being sold and bought in the market of EVE Online is by real players. So all of these are real players wanting to sell their wares. When it comes to Plex, the reason people are selling Plex is because people want to use real money to get in-game currency. For example, if someone couldn't be bothered to grind in-game currency, they can spend real money and buy Plex. Then they can sell this on the in-game market and then get in-game currency. So it's a way so that you don't have to grind so much if you have a lot of money to spare. All in all, I'd say that EVE Online is a game that's definitely played in the long run. It takes a long time to unlock all the ships and to become the best at everything, and to achieve the best equipment. This doesn't, however, mean that you need to grind crazy amounts or you have to spend a lot of time to do anything meaningful in the game. It just takes a long time to become the best at everything, and you definitely don't need to be the best at everything to be able to do meaningful stuff in this game. For example, it'll take a really long time, and it is really expensive to fly a Paladin battleship. However, that doesn't mean you have to fly one. You can do a lot of things in an Apocalypse that costs a fraction of the price and takes a fraction of the training time. Or, if an Apocalypse battleship is too much for you, you can just settle with an Omen cruiser, which is a fraction of the Apocalypse price and takes even less time to train into. And you can still do a lot of things with just a standard cruiser like this. It just depends where you want to set the bar. But because it takes a long time to make massive accomplishments in EVE Online, it really gives a big sense of accomplishment to things you've accomplished. Anyway, I hope that sums up EVE Online for you. There's so much more that can be said about this game because it is such an enormous game. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.